listening to Sin's Workshop. I hope you're all having a wonderful day. And thank you all for tuning in to my very first wrap-up video. I never really did these before. I didn't watch any videos because I didn't want to get into my head like, oh, I have to kind of do it like this person. So we're just winging it here, just like with my reviews. It's going to be learning progress. Stick with me. Love you. So I wanted to read 10 books this month. I did not. I got to 8, so I was too shy. I felt like I read more than that, though. You know, I hate that. I hate when I feel like I read more than I thought I did. Maybe it's just because of length-wise. I did read more pages. But anyway, so the first book that I finished reading this month was A Dreadful Splendor by B.R. Meyers. Really good book. Really entertaining. I love the historical fiction feel of it, and I do like the gothic atmosphere as well. I mean, a house crumbling by the sea gave me really good Edgar Allan Poe vibes. If you know me, I love Edgar Allan Poe vibes. Full reviews, of course, for all of these to come as soon as I'm able to. I'm behind. Bear with me. Sorry. The next book was A House with Good Bones by T. Kingfisher. I freaking love this author. They write horror. They're short. They're sweet. And they're humorous, too. Honestly, I learned more about bugs reading this book than I thought I would ever know about bugs. But it was really interesting. Very creepy as well. But I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I can't wait to read more of Kingfisher. They are officially one of my new favorite authors. Next on the list is 12 Hours in Manhattan. I don't read romance. Not really. Not typically. I avoid the section like the plague. But you know what? I really ended up enjoying this book. I got this book from the publisher, an advanced reader's copy to read and review. That in no way colored my perception of it. I mean, it was very well thought out. I did like that the author focused on building up that characterization, and the fact that the character was given time to learn to love themselves. Oh, icing on the cake. I loved it. It was an emotional journey. It was heartbreaking at times. Cannot wait to flesh out my thoughts in an actual review. It was just, I don't read romance, and yet I loved this book. What does that say? I'm very picky. I'm very picky. My husband says I'm not, but I am. I swear to you, I am. And now, speaking of favorite authors, Chain of Gold. I love Chain of Gold. I love Cassandra Clare. Honestly, I love the Shadowhunters. I made myself a promise. I was not going to read the Last Hours trilogy until I read all the anthologies. And you know what? I'm so happy I made that promise to myself, because I was introduced to some of these characters and their backstories in the anthologies. Like Ghosts of the Shadowhunters and the Bane Chronicles. And Ghosts of the Shadow Market. Ghosts of the Shadow Market, Bane Chronicles, and then the Shadowhunter Academy. Those are the 3 anthologies. Very good. Sorry. But I like that I was introduced, and I already had that little bits of history information before I read The Last Hours, book 1. I mean, this was really an excellent novel. I cannot wait to see what happens next. Ooh, my goal is to read all 3 books by the end of the year. I own them all. Book 3 came out not too long ago, so they are all mine. They're all on my bookshelf. The goal is to read them all by December. We'll see if that actually happens. The next one was The Society for Soulless Girl. So this was, there was a giveaway for the audiobook of this book on Storygraph, and I got it. It's supposed to be a sort of a feminist retelling on Jekyll and Hyde. I love retellings, especially retellings on Gothic Lit. I especially love feminist retellings. I was somewhat disappointed by this book, to be perfectly honest. Not my favorite. There was lots of potential, for sure, on the development of this book. Lots of potential. But I think the author lost me, and this is going to be a spoiler alert for you guys. A spoiler alert, the author lost me when the character snaps the neck of a cat. I was not a fan of that scene. It was really uncomfortable. I don't like reading about animal abuse at all. It's not for me. I did like how I think the author could have gotten their point across without this scene, basically. And I like how the book does deal with how women are vilified for showing emotion or getting angry. It's just like, oh, you're just overreacting. Like, no, sir. No, sir. But I think the author just took it a step too far with this scene. And I just, as someone who has cats, I was not a fan of that particular scene at all. Next was She is a Haunting. So I work for Barnes & Noble, and at my store I host the young adult book club read-alongs, both on social media and hopefully starting this month in the store, because I like to read, and I like having a community to discuss books with. So that's when I started reading this one. You know, I just read every week a few chapters until the very end. Really good book. I do like how it deals a lot with identity. You know, Jade often feels like she doesn't fit in at home, right? And because she's bisexual and she feels like her family's going to ostracize her for that, or particularly her mother, because her father at one time did make her feel bad for being attracted to women. Her dad's a prick, by the way. And I like how she's Vietnamese, but when she goes to Vietnam, you know, there's this disconnect between her and her homeland because she doesn't know the language. I feel that. I'm Mexican. I'm trying very hard to learn to speak Spanish right now because I want my kids to be able to know Spanish, and be able to go from there to learn multiple languages. So I definitely connected to that. But there's also this she's also talking about colonialization in the story, you know. Why is she in Vietnam? Because that's where her father is. Why is he there? He is restoring a house that his mother was a servant in. Of all the houses, the house where your mother was a servant, that's the one you choose. I get it. He's trying to reclaim some agency that was taken from his family. But this house was built by French colonizers, and there were a lot of horrific things that happened there, especially because the owner, she was super racist. Like, super racist. She called them savages and parasites. Ugh. So the house is being haunted, and it's just like, is it being haunted by ghosts, or is it being haunted by Jade's inability to really connect? So there's a lot. I mean, there are ghosts. There's a lot that it deals with, and I thought it was really moving. I thought it was very creepy, for sure. I really need to stop reading books that deal with sleep paralysis, because I was definitely terrified. I was reading multiple books that dealt with sleep paralysis. This one and A House with Good Bones. I read them at the same time, and I was just like, oh my god, please don't let me get sleep paralysis, for the love of God. That's like one of my worst nightmares. Next was Bindle Punk Bruja. I have an Amazon book club, and that was the choice for the month of March. By the end, I did enjoy the book, but oh my god, I really did contemplate not finishing it. I really did think about putting it on my did not finish pile. I mean, it's supposed to be like Boardwalk Empire. You have this half Latina witch who's struggling to capture her magic, and she owns her own speakeasy. She writes for the newspaper. She has two identities because she's light-skinned, much like me. And when she goes out, she uses her light-skinned privilege, 1920s America, 1920s, Kansas, I believe, to, yeah, Kansas or Missouri, I forgot. She uses her light skin privilege to stay one step ahead, you know? So she goes by the name Rose, but her actual name is Luna. Seriously. It had all the makings for a book that I would love from beginning to end. The problem is it just took really, 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 really long to develop. And that last quarter of the book was probably my favorite quarter of the book because that's when everything happened. That's when everything came to a head. It's just for so long, I'm just like reading it. I keep waiting for something to happen. Keep waiting for something to happen. Keep waiting for the plot to develop. It was a struggle. I did end up liking it, but boy, was it a struggle. And then the final book of the month was I Will Leave You Never by Ann Putnam. This was such a waste of my time. That book was so boring. It's supposed to be, in the midst of an arson attack, her husband gets cancer. Okay, so it focuses a lot early on the arson attacks, happening in her city, close by. She's a mother of 3 kids. There's lots of flashback scenes in the story. The transitions were not always clear, so that was often confusing. Zoe is not a good person, and I don't like her at all. She is rather selfish, and I did not like her. The way she vilifies a neighbor without even getting to know him because she doesn't like his Halloween decorations. I mean, she's a bitch. Not sorry for that. Her tone is it lacks passion. It lacks personality. She's just very dense of a character. She's very selfish. I did not like her at all. And I really this arson subplot. That's what I wanted to know more about. That was the most interesting thing about the story, and I got very little of that, and I'm kind of very angry about that. This book was such a waste of my time, and it was so unbelievably boring. I really wish I hadn't read it. But I did, and it was another book that I got for free from a publisher. Sorry, guys. This was not a good book. So there we go. Those were the 8 books that I read this March. Hopefully I don't mess up with the editing of this video. Thank you all for tuning in. Please don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and let me know what your personal goals for March were in the comments below. Did you meet them? Did you not meet them? Let me know. And on that note, I hope you all have a wonderful day. Happy reading.